All right, so for this video, I'm just going to go over just pretty much one of each type for the basic one-step inequalities, and then I'm going to go through some of the multi-step inequalities as well. But remember, those will just be extra credit questions for now, but you will be expected to be able to do this when we get back from break. All right, so the ones circled are the ones I'm going to go through, and if you need any help on any other ones, you can just message me, email me, and or reach out, and we can discuss that there. All right, so for this first one, we have x plus 52 is less than 31. You're asked to solve and graph. So nothing changes from what we learned with solving for equations. We first are going to isolate our variable, and we do that through our inverse operation. So since we're adding 52, I will subtract 52. All right, so now we can say x is less than. Since 52 is larger than 31, I know my answer is going to be negative, so I'm going to write my negative to begin with. And remember, we know that we can then subtract 31 from 52 to follow the algorithm that we might have already known and learned. So 52 minus 31 is 21. So that means 31 minus 52 is negative 21. Right? And you will need to be able to graph this on your test as well. So you'll be given a number line, and you will need to create your tick marks. And remember, you need to have at least 5 of them. And then fill in your number line. So it'll be negative 20. Remember, we're increasing as we go to the right and decreasing as we go to the left. This is going to be an open circle because it's just less than and not greater than. And since negative 22 is less than negative 21, my graph will go to the left-hand side. All right, now let's go ahead and do the next problem. All right, so here we have x minus 79 is greater than or equal to negative 34. Well, the inverse of minus 79 is plus 79. And instead of saying negative 34 plus 79, we can do 79 minus 34. It's the exact same thing. So this is then going to give me 45. So then I know that my answer then is x is greater than or equal to 45. I would go ahead then and draw my line, and I'm going to fill in my number line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 45, 46, 47, and then 44 and 43. Since it's equal to, it's going to be a closed circle. Let me do this in different color. Since it's equal to, it's going to be a closed circle at 45. And since x needs to be greater than 45, and 46 is greater than 45, our graph will go in that direction. There is one more question I want to go through, and that's also this e. So I'll go through all of this category 1 with you in this video. Remember, it is optional. You don't have to watch it, but we're going to add that e to it as well. All right, so now this next problem that we have negative x over 5 is greater than negative 13. So we're dividing by 5, and it's negative as well. So our inverse of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 5. And remember, the rule that we have to learn now, or remember, is when we multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, we need to flip our inequality. Because on our number line, 1 is less than 3 when it's positive. But if we were to then look at them in the negative number, 1 is actually greater than negative 3. So since that relationship changes where the quote-unquote bigger number is now less than in a negative side, we need to go ahead and remember then to flip our inequality. And then we'll just multiply negative 13 times negative 5, which is then going to give me a positive 65. So I'll create my number line. I have 65, 66, 67, 64, and 63. And then this is going to be an open circle because it's just less than. And then it's going to go in this direction, all right, because it needs to be less than 65. And all those numbers to the left are less than 65. But the one thing you have to remember is when we divide or multiply both sides by a negative, we need to change and flip that inequality. All right, so then the next problem, it says negative 3x is greater than or equal to 195. So if you go back to this last problem, you saw that the number that it was that we were multiplying into was a negative. And this one's positive. It doesn't matter the number that we multiply or divide into. It matters what we multiplied or divide by. So in this case here, since we're multiplying by negative 3, I'll divide each side by negative 3. And since I'm dividing both sides by negative, I need to flip that inequality. And 195 divided by negative 3 is going to give me negative 65. So now we have our answer that x is less than or equal to negative 65. I'll draw my 5 tick marks. It is going to be a closed circle at negative 65. And since it's less than now because we flipped our inequality, it will be going to the left. And that will be our final answer for that one. All right, I know I'm going through this quickly, but this is review since we have been doing this for a few days now. All right, so this next problem, we have 1 over 14x is less than or equal to negative 12. We can think about this problem instead of 1 over 14 as x over 14. right? And if we were to rewrite this as x over 14, because essentially all I did there is just multiply these together and get that 1x, and we can rewrite it like this if we would like. And now maybe it jumps out to you a little bit more of what you can do a little bit faster. So since we're dividing by 14, we would need to multiply both sides by 14. And even though I see a negative number here, I don't need to flip my inequality because the number we're multiplying both sides by is positive. So it will remain less than or equal to. And then we can do 12 times 14. So 4 times 2 is 8. I don't know why I carried that. 4 times 1 is 4. We'll put our placeholder because now we're moving to our tens. And 1 times 2 is 2 and 1 times 1 is 1. We now add down to 168. So x is less than or equal to negative 168 because a negative times a positive gives me negative. I'll draw my number line. I will have negative 168, negative 167, negative 166, negative 169, and negative 170. This will be a closed circle because it is equal to, and our less than is going to the left. All right, so that's it for the one-step ones. The rest of the things I'm going to go over in this video are actually going to be part of the extra credit and what we're doing next. All right, same thing as we learned with our equations. When we're solving equations, we did our PEMDAS in reverse. The same thing happens when we're doing our inequalities. Well, we see that we're adding and we see that we're multiplying. So we are going to get rid of our addition first. To get rid of addition, we subtract. So now I have that negative 2x is less than or equal to 16. And now I need to get rid of the multiplication. And now I'm going to divide by negative 2. And remember, when we divide by both sides by that negative, we need to flip that inequality. So now it becomes greater than or equal to negative 8. All right, then we will draw our graph. We can do negative 10, negative 9, negative 8, negative 7, negative 6. It is a closed circle at negative 8, and it's greater than, so it's going to be going to the right. All right, now, same thing. As we learn with our equations, you're going to hear me say this a lot in this unit because it is all the same steps. We just have to think, there's two new things. That when we divide or multiply both sides by negative, we need to flip our inequality, and then you have to graph. That's the only difference from what we were just doing for the last month and a half. And when we were solving equations where we had variables on both sides, we wanted to move our variables to the same side. So that means I'm going to subtract both sides by that 8x to move my variable to the left. You could have subtracted 10x if you wanted to. It really doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer either way. But now we have 2x plus 6 is less than or equal to negative 12. Well, once I isolate that, or once I get that variable to one side, now I need to isolate it. So now I need to move my constants to the other side. And since it's plus 6, I can do that through subtraction. So 2x is now less than or equal to negative 18. And my last step is to get rid of that multiplication to isolate that x. And remember, I'm not dividing by a negative, so this is not going to flip. So it becomes x is less than or equal to negative 9. So now we have negative 11, negative 10, negative 9, negative 8, and negative 7. This is going to be a colored in circle. And since it's less than, x is less than or equal to negative 9, it is going to the left. All right, there's one more question. That's it for this video. All right, so now remember, same thing as equations. We need to simplify as much as we can. So I have this parentheses, so I'm going to distribute the 6 in. All right, and we're going to multiply. 6 times 5x is 30x, and 6 times 9 is 54. Now, since I have variables on the left and right and a constant only on the left, I'm going to move my variable to the right-hand side then. So I'm going to subtract 30x from both sides. So now I get 54 is greater than negative 9x. To solve for this, I now need to divide both sides by that negative 9. And since I'm dividing by a negative number, I need to remember to flip my inequality. Well, 54 divided by negative 9 is negative 6. It was once opening up to the negative 6, so greater than. Now it's going to be flipped. So now negative 6 is less than x. And one thing I will suggest that you do is rewrite it with your variable on the left-hand side every time, because that way we can just read our variable as we're graphing. It's opening to the x now, so we'll be opening to the x there. We then draw our number line. And we have negative 8, negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, and negative 4. It is just an open circle because it's not equal to, and x is greater than, so it'll be going to the right. All right, that is it for this video.